The moment you learn this lesson, everything changes. Now, I know that trying new things comes with a lot of emotions. Sometimes you're very skeptical about trying the new thing because you don't know what's going to happen. Of course, you've never tried it before. Usually it's an experience that you've never tried before, and it can look scary. It can look very, very terrifying, as I've been there a lot of times and I'm still there a lot of the time. And when you try something or you're about to try something new, what usually goes on in your head is you're wondering how it's going to go. Maybe it's a place you're going to, so who the people you're going to meet? Is it going to be something you'll enjoy? Is it something you're going to actually love doing? Would you want to do it again, or are you going to have a terrible experience? All of these are valid thoughts to have because it's part of our human nature to want to know what's going to happen. It's like a fight and flight response. But the truth of it is that even when we're trying something new or when we're about to try something new, two things can happen. The first is that you can usually feel like, I really want to try this new thing, and even though I'm scared, I still want to give it a try, I still want to give it a go and see how it goes. And I look forward to trying this even though I feel scared or I feel terrified about trying it because maybe I might fail at it if it's something that has to do with your abilities. The other side is when fear grips you and you're so terrified that you don't even want to try it. I'll give a real example. I was to, of course, go to college, to university after finishing high school. And I've never been to this place before. It was outside of my home country. I have never even been to this side of the world before. So naturally, I was scared. And on top of that, I was supposed to travel alone. This was going to be a trip that I would make on my own. No adults, no parents there, no siblings, nobody, just me making the trip to go to this country. Now, luckily for me, my sister was already there where I was going to, but she couldn't come here, pick me, and then go there. I had to make the trip on my own. So it was a new experience that I had to try. While I was thinking about, this whole trip and everything was ready, I packed my bags, everything was set. I just needed to, travel, make the trip and go. I was constantly thinking about the things my parents told me, trying to make sure that I don't forget anything, trying to make sure that there was nothing missing from my bags and things like that. And I got to the checking place, the boarding part where only the travelers could go. And my parents escorted me there with my brother, my younger brother. And I ended up crying there. I was not expecting to cry, but I cried because I was still terrified. I was going to make this trip on my own. I didn't want to make any mistakes because, as maybe simplistic as traveling might seem, an 18-year-old at that time, I think I was 19, an 18 or 19-year-old at that time making an international trip by themselves for the first time, nobody to supervise them. Well, while yes, I am an adult at that point in time, but I was still scared. I've never done this before. So it came time and I had to make the trip. And like I said, two things can happen. The first thing would be that I could have just, decided I'm too terrified to make this trip. I don't think I can do this. And so I'm just going to stay home. I'm not going to go to university. I'd stay in the comforts of my own space and I'll never have to make this trip. I'll be fine. I won't be terrified anymore. Or I could have chosen that, you know what, I'm terrified of making this trip. I've never done something like this before. There's so many things that could go wrong, but there are also so many things that could go right. Let me try this, see how it is and at least gain the experience. Luckily for me, I chose the latter. I chose to make the trip despite being terrified and being scared and not having my parents around me or anyone to, keep me accountable in that sense. And another thing that added to it was that it was a overnight trip, so there was also that fear of what if I sleep off and then I miss my flight? What's gonna happen? So I was definitely terrified. There were a lot of thoughts running through my head, but I still chose to make that decision to try it out, try this new thing that I've never done before. And rather than letting fear be what dictated my actions, I decided to let my anticipation for going to a new place to experience new things to be what drove me to make the decision to take the trip. And thank God I did, because I met so many friends. I made so many new connections. I was able to reunite with my sister after many years, I think about 5 years or so. I was able to do so many things that I've never even dreamt of doing. I've had so many experiences that I would not trade anything for. And if I had chosen to let my fear control me, I wouldn't have experienced any of those. So when you're trying something new, just keep in mind that even though it's terrifying, you're still gonna be okay. The worst case scenario is that you may dislike it, but you still gain the experience of this thing that you've tried. You're still going to gain the experience of, all right, I know what not to do and what to do. So don't let fear be what dictates your actions. Don't let fear hold you back from trying new experiences, because it's those new experiences that more often than not become things you would never trade anything for because of how valuable they've become to you. All right. It's just some thoughts on that, but see you guys later. Take care.